if you're ever stuck trying to connect your different parts together and you feel like the transitions are too harsh, then this episode is definitely for you. Whether or not you add these transitions to your track is completely up to you, but think of these as tools that you can keep in your toolbox, and just know that if you're ever stuck, there's a simple solution that we can do. One of my favorite solutions is something I call breakdown and break. And typically I do that before the theme comes in. And this is a great way to transition from an energy sort of driving part of the music to a part that's a bit airy and more pad or piano themed. So just to give you an idea of what we have so far and sort of this harsh transition that we have, I'm going to play a couple measures for you guys. So in this example, there's no build up. I didn't add the snare drum build up. Now that's one thing we could do. Now, of course, in this example, I don't have like the snare drum build up. That would be something that would sound nice right here. So instead of having this harsh transition, I'm going to duplicate time here. And in this part, I'm going to drop out the kick entirely. We can go ahead and label this just to kind of keep track. Again, this was the breakdown. This is the... And a quick note, it seems to be pretty important that we are always adding groups of 16 or 32 bars to the music. You don't want to just do these like 8-bar transitions because that can throw off the DJs. And I've actually had a DJ recently kind of yell at me because I think one of my tracks actually just has like an 8-bar transition. So, and it was like throwing off his mix, and he said he would probably never DJ one of my tracks again. So it's important that we do that, keep the music kind of square in a certain way, just so that DJs don't get confused when they're trying to mix your music on the spot. Now, in this section of the breakdown, we just want to start peeling the music back and use this time basically to start clearing some space. And by the break right here, a lot of these elements should be completely stopped. So things like the hats, the percussion, we're going to make sure all of this stops here. Yeah, we're going to cut out the sub bass too, and the basses. Basically, everything's going to stop. And then one of my favorite things to do is just kind of hold out the bass pad on the root note. And our track was in E minor, so and hold the root note. Like that. So you can already hear it. It sounds like a cool transition. So let's hear now what that transition sounds like. And oh, you know what? And let's even take the time to use our filters here and filter out the hi-hats and stuff just to kind of smooth out this transition. So again, it's not so harsh. So now what I think I actually want to do is spend some time with the piano, and as you see, doing that breakdown and break kind of give me a different idea that, hey, maybe I want to insert a section where it's piano and pads, primarily focused with that. Then maybe go into like that super saw lead section, and then that would actually require us to, I guess, extend this so we could duplicate the time here. Sort of extend that theme. Part I could hear the piano coming in over the saw. And so now we can really spend some time in this middle and theme area. And I did change the melody a little bit, so I do sort of have two different piano melodies for this track that I've been kind of going back and forth between. And somebody did ask if I could show more of a melodic piano idea, and so that's sort of what I did. When I went back and listened to the video, there was one or two melodies I had played. So this is why sometimes it's really good to just sort of record yourself playing around on the piano, because you might play something nice and you can always go back, kind of re-figure out what you were playing. So again, I listened to the video, found a nice little melody, and decided to just elaborate on it and test it out in the track. And I think it sounds nice. I think it's a cool idea. So let's see what this section sounds like with piano and pads. Okay. As you can see, we got quite a bit of work I can do on this middle section here. I hear like explosions and vocal sounds, and I mean, there's just so much we can add over this. But point is, use the breakdown and a break transition into our theme. Okay. Four 8-bar loops for the intro, 4 8-bar loops sort of for this exposition. Now you could expand on that. You could have a longer exposition. I've seen people add 6 bars. I've seen people do like 6 bars for their exposition and then go into a breakdown and break. And I mean, you can literally take this and just keep going and make your tracks as long as you kind of want. But just remember that little trick. And another trick we can do to make our music longer is a reprise. And sort of reprise means it is a repeated section, repeated passage of music, and that's sort of like the main part of the music. Now it's kind of transferring from the chorded section and like sort of that main theme back to the recap here. Again, the easiest way to do that is sort of another form of breakdown and break. that's when we can talk about this transition. So let's give it a listen and see what it sounds like before we do the breakdown break here. Again, very rough transition. Now that does work for some tracks, but if it doesn't work for yours, we're going to do sort of the same thing here. We're going to duplicate time and I actually call this transforming because it's not quite a breakdown break. Now you could do a breakdown and break. But I do something called breakdown and transform. I just like to call it transform in the spirit of trance and the idea of transferring, right? You know, this is sort of where the idea of trance music came from. It was the idea of transferring sort of from one section of this music to another section of music sort of seamlessly, right? So that in a way is like one core idea of trance, and sort of the way that I do the transform is in the first half of the bar, I'm staying true to the theme, but I'm also kind of fading it out. Then in this half, we kind of got to bring back the themes and stuff that's happening here again. Sort of hard to do since we don't have much melodic elements to do with right now. Let's see what it sounds like with those changes. Okay, so following this structure has given us about 8 minutes of music. So, and of course that's subject to change, but this is a pretty good framework that you can follow from. And from there you can cut it down, you can extend it as you from there you can extend it as you need to, sort of do whatever you want. But this is a very great core structure that most tracks are going to follow. Thanks for checking out, guys. In the next section of this series, we're going to really start focusing on some of these advanced layers, some of the extra sounds that go into this track, such as the plucks, the acids, the drives, other effects, things we can think of. But if you followed so far, hopefully you have a nice idea, maybe some pianos or something. And thank you guys for sending in your music. Quite a few of you have sent in your music. I really appreciate it.